Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard the Jak 3P. Just a bit of German pronunciation for you. The Jak 3P is an amazing aircraft. It looks amazing, it flies amazing, it feels amazing, it has amazing results, and it is a Russian plane. All that makes it overall one of the most easy mode planes in the game. In fact, this plane in realistic feels like the Red Devil, especially when I fly in my Americans and my Germans. And I want to talk a little bit about this plane. But before I go too deep into this, what can you expect in the rest of the video? Well, first of all, the beginning of the video was my first ever battle for like half a year, something like this. And I was interested in really flying this plane. I will tell you later on why. It might surprise you. This scene here is an extended kind of engagement, and I just want to show you how you can make this plane work. That was really poor shooting on my behalf, and what you can see is all around there are blue dots, which is the Russian team feeling, which is very similar to the German one. But the Germans are limited to this, the Russians not really, but then they take over German tactics of climbing, sticking together, and engaging the enemy together, and we will see later on that there is not much left. In this situation, I will kind of piss myself in a German plane right now. Spitfires above me. Ooh, I'm already dead. Oh, defensive flying. Oh, maybe head on. Yeah, but what if he waits? We will see how it turns out when we look at the Jak 3P engaging Spitfires. Faking head-ons, they try to avoid, you hit them anyways. Critical hits. And hits, they wear them down. So, what is the Jak 3P? Let's talk through that while you enjoy the dogfight and look closely how I fly and how I use my situational awareness. The Jak 3P is a rank 3 battle rating 5.0 Russian/Soviet fighter plane. It has in total 3 20mm guns, of which one is a 20mm B-20M cannon with 120 rounds being mounted in the propeller hub. And you also have two 20mm B-20S cannons with 260 rounds between them above the engine. So you have three 20mm centralized mounted. They have a high rate of fire, very effective ammunition, and they just work. The muzzle velocity is high, easy to lead, easy to get on target with the rest of the plane's performance. The armor is not really there. You have a bit of plating and bulletproof glass for the back of the pilot. And while there are fuel tanks in the wings, they are self-sealing. Yeah, the engine is a Klimov VK105 PF 12-cylinder inline engine. It's water cooled and takeoff power is 1,320 horsepower. That's amazing, because this plane just feels light and nimble overall. So, what is there to know about the Jak 3P? Well, it's kind of my arch nemesis. That's what it is. And in this battle you just see me flying around, dropping around, testing the plane a little bit out, playing with Spitfires, which I normally don't do in other nations' aircraft. And yeah, just let's see how it goes. Playing together with other Russians and just defensive flying with this plane is so easy, so good, and especially Spitfire pilots, I can drive them nuts for days. In this respect, it's almost a little bit like flying a Japanese fighter, one of the turn fighters, the Zeros, the A7M, this kind of stuff. And hit after hit, I just disable this Spitfire's capability to fly properly. So, let's move on. After this scene, there was nothing left for a while, without any action. This Spitfire, just look at it. I would be so dead if I would be in a German plane. I did this on purpose. I baited him. I have not enough ammunition to reliably put him down. I bait him. He takes too long. I take a few hits, but they spark off because obviously I had bad ping, or the other guy had bad ping, didn't help him when the other Russian plane behind him shot at him. So, after this, I went back, rearmed, refueled, repaired, and by the way, you can nose land this plane, which is safer and easier than trying to break it, to normally bring it to a standstill. The nose is exactly long enough, but you shouldn't do it at too high speeds because then you still would flip over, I imagine. So, that's this battle. Let's move on to the ace gameplay that I want to show you. And let's just talk a little bit through from the very beginning. So we have talked about the armament. What about the climb rate? Well, it's really great. The acceleration is also really great. So you're always at the same altitude or just below the enemy. But you can go head on because of the armament. We just talked about this. By the way, this plane has no ground strike capabilities whatsoever, except with the cannons. But again, for that kind of engagement, you do not have enough ammunition. I just avoid the Tempest with a little bit of rolling. The Tempest just really can't correct its aim too much. Roll out of the head-on fire of the Spitfire. Try to put a few shells into him. Doesn't work. It's an LF Mark 9, the absolute arch nemesis number 2 of German planes. I just turn with him, I just pull up. I did not really kind of control my flaps here to the very best. And, I can't just correct my aim so easily. So, then raise the flaps, and from below there comes a Tempest in a head-on. I just avoid it. I don't need to go into the head-on. I risk a lot, because now he is in a very, very grave situation. He just lost a lot of altitude. I just can turn around in no time at all and just sit behind him. Yes, he can run. He can run. A Tempest can run. But this genius decides to turn for a little bit with me. And he tries to drag me into very high speeds. I don't want to lose altitude too much either, so I break off and engage the Spitfire. And now the Tempest is behind me. I couldn't care less. Just a little bit of spiral climbing, like in arcades. Oh, good old arcade days. Oh, wait, this is realistic. Never mind. Just baited the Griffin Spitfire for my comrade, and the Tempest also got baited for another comrade in a Yak 9P. So, there are other Spitfires. Let's engage them. Easy like that. It's a piece of cake. And you can see the kills are evenly distributed between our teammates. This is the joy of flying with Russian planes. Let me just explain this to you. Which nations' planes are good and why? Well, the Germans have good results, but their planes are not competitive. They have an extremely high skill cap, if not just outright bad flight models and heavy instructor issues. They might be realistic, but planes like this one just UFO around them. We will talk about the insane energy retention maybe a little bit later when it's kind of obvious. They stick together, they swarm the enemy, and mostly they face, allied teams? So half of them is bombers and attackers anyways, and the rest doesn't climb. So it's actually teamwork against planes or players that do not really care. So they can make them work. Japanese planes, they don't need any introduction. Team SEAL clubbing is just what Japanese teams do, don't they? We'll talk about Japanese versus Russians a bit later, when it comes to the overconfidence part. Then there is also the Americans. Well, they don't even try. But they also have not the very best planes. Yeah, they have planes which are ridiculous, such as the Bearcat, the F-8F, especially the 1B version with the 420s and a lot of ammunition. Really good climb rate, turning capabilities, energy retention, like the F-7F as well. All two versions, the Tech 2 version and the Premium Reward version. But then, what is left? Yeah, the British. Spitfires. You're on par with Spitfires. You can altern the Griffin ones, and you can boom and zoom the Mark 9s. Mark 9s are a problem, but then they often misplayed. They do not really use the full capabilities of their plane. Same goes for the Russians to a certain degree, but most of the time you really don't. So the Germans fly in wolf packs because they have to, otherwise they wouldn't have a chance. But they also get a little help from the Allied side. Japanese are very, very good planes across the board. There are some stinkers, but the overwhelming majority is just amazing. And then there's the Russians. How the Russians play? Well, their bombers shoot down everything that is on their tail while outturning it because balance and bomb load reasons. The next thing are their fighters that stick together like the Germans, engage the enemies in boom and zoom, energy and turn fight engagements, and just absolutely wreck them. In this case, it's surprisingly the clash between the Germans and the Russians that make the most interesting kind of engagements. And the ones versus the Japanese. Why? Because the Japanese absolutely wreck you because you turn fight with them. And if you turn fight with Japanese... look at this, by the way. He tries to zoom through. I just turn into him with landing flaps. He tries to zoom up. Short little burst. Thank you very much. It all was skill for my third kill. That was the energy retention. This plane has an unheard amount of energy retention. It's just... wow. You feel like the greatest pilot in the world while you just do the dumbest thing that there is you can do. It's just... you know, call me a noob, call me an idiot, but I just get the results. Every single battle. Not every single battle an ace, but... it's always so easy to make this plane work, and it's so damn hard to engage it because it has so many advantages. Does it have the highest amount of weapons in the nose or overall on the plane? No. Is it the fastest like the Focke-Wulfs that can go 700 and exceed it even to 800, 850, the later models? No, but do you have to? Do you turn the sharpest? No, but I'm faster than the turn fighters of the Japanese. There is nothing this plane can't do well or very good, and it's the deadly combination. Then also there is no instructor interference. And now I have the question for you. Is it really important if I dive after this guy in a 5.0 plane with 750, which takes ages up until the point I get it, and then I have the number for a short period? Or if I consistently go with 650 and can control both the overheating and the speed, while I still control full maneuverability? I have no lockup in this plane. In fact, I run into risk of ripping the wings, potentially. I never did rip my wings. In fact, this plane turns so well that my pilot is constantly at the edge of getting knocked out. But I have experience in dealing with it from Japanese planes. Now, there is a bomber. Bombers are a bit of a problem because I have very good anti-fighter weaponry. For bombers, I missed a punch, but gladly, the rest of the tech tree is full of planes that can deal with bombers very effectively. Or do I have to introduce the Yak-9s to you? Yak-9T, Yak-9K, Yak-9P, Yak-9UT. They are all around in this battle rating spread, you know. Or there are still other planes that have kind of the same armament. The I-185s. They can also deal with bombers in the same way that I can do. They all have centralized firepower. But then there's the huge variety of premium planes that the Soviets have. P-63A5, P-39K, P-39, the Pokryshkins, P-63C5 event plane, P-63A10, you know, so many planes with 37mm cannons or even higher. You cannot really complain about anti-bomber capabilities. But I think this plane excels at dealing with fighters, really. That's its strength. Although, let's have a look at this engagement. I cut out like 10 minutes. In fact, this plane is so good with its insane energy retention, with its insane acceleration, especially the mid to low altitude performance. It feels arcadey, and you still can saw off the wings of a bomber if you aim properly. Wingtip, 5th kill. Ace, easy like that. The plane overall feels so good, so amazing, so forgiving, so arcadey that it's kind of boring. It needs not a huge amount of skill, not a huge amount of planning. So as a grinding machine, when you put on the talisman, I won the talisman on this in a Gaijin event, funnily enough, then you have one of the best grinding machines that there is for a cheap price, at least at tier 3. So I didn't fly this plane in a very long time, so the very first scene that you saw before I began my commentary was actually the very first battle that I played today with this plane. So for my 5 kills, the 1 critical hit and numerous other things, I got nearly 100,000 silver lines and 10,783 modification research points, with a talisman and a premium account without any boosters being applied. And with 3,070 score points, I was first. So that is the Yak 3P for you. An amazing plane to fly, kind of fun for the very first few battles, and an insanely good grinding machine, master of many things, and where it doesn't excel, it's not really important for a realistic battle for against 95% of the players that you face. Anyways, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the commentary and the video, the gameplay. Let me know in the comment section if you have any thoughts on the Yak 9 or Yak 3P, the Yaks in generals, and the fairness of kind of this combination of really great capabilities. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.